Well, guys, we're finally here. The true ending for Karno Shoujo, the second episode. I do apologize that because I know it has been a while since I've played this game. I've just been really preoccupied with the Tsukihime remake, and that's taken up a lot of my time in terms of the visual novel playthroughs. But we're finally here. We're finally at the true ending. It's taken a while to get here. Again, I apologize. But let's see what we have, what tragedies lie ahead, because we already know it's going to be tragic. January 20th, Monday. I organized the files from this case in my office. It all started with a murder victim we found with a clay doll stuffed in her stomach. Hinagami Karen was arrested as the suspect behind those murders. Through that investigation, we happened upon the cases of the two leaders of the Blessed Congregation. Kayahara Yukiko was arrested for those. There's a good chance she won't be held accountable for her crimes due to her mental state at the time of those murders. Yeah, at least in this ending, she didn't actually get killed. I think I did actually skip through it, guys, but from what I saw, the ending kind of plays out a little bit similarly to Memories of That Day. So, yeah, I mean, kind of sad in that regard with what happens between, Ayato and with Ayato and Satsuki, but I guess, at least Yukiko doesn't die in this one. We can only hope that her sentence will be reduced in light of that. And also because of the fact that she's technically still a minor. But of course I don't really know how that all works in Japan. But the only one she killed was Oribe Tokahiro. And we also have to keep in mind this is taking place in the 50s as well, and the law is probably very different. The culprit who killed Otsugi Keigo is still at large, but it's not my job to look for that person. Yeah, we know who did that too. I flipped through my documents. The founder, Oribe Tokahiro, killed by Yukiko. Oribe was probably a man very serious about his religion, just as Masaki heard from Korea Naori. He created a new organization with his own funds to take in members of Senri who were shunned from society after the Ueno serial murder incident. He didn't seem to have any ambition to increase the members, and thus his influence afterward. His actions stemmed from a sincere desire to provide a peaceful place for the faithful to live. The man named Otsugi Keigo used that to his advantage. He made up for Oribe's poor financing skills and amassed funds in the name of protecting the lives of their members. That led to their involvement in money lending, stocks, and those illegal clinical trials. Their plan to make Yukiko their prophet originated with Oribe, but Otsugi used him in that instance as well. He tried to get close to the future leader of the Blessed Congregation. The mystery that remains then is, why Yukiko? The answer to that lies with her birth. Before Senri, when Shigusa Michio led the organization known as the Congregation of the Blessed, he did whatever he wanted with it. He got his hands on all the female members he could and engaged in true debauchery. Among those members was Oribe's sister. Oh god. More incest. The children she gave birth to were the twins, Yukiko and Yukio. In other words, Yukiko has Shigusa blood within her. She's Shigusa Saya's daughter, Ayako's, Fuyumi's cousin. During the organization's time as Senri, one of Shigusa Michio's daughters held an important position in the organization. That woman, named Tokiko, would have been her sister. Jeez. I haven't told this to Fuyumi or Yukiko yet. Was that the woman from Cartagra, the woman who was in the cult? I think it was her. It's not like telling them would be likely to change anything. Everything's resolved now, but I still have so many secrets. Maybe they'd be better off not knowing. A lie for their happiness, huh? Well, that's fine. I always was a liar. I gather up the files and lay them on the ashtray. Oh god, is he gonna burn them? I strike a match and light a cigarette. Phew. I breathe out some smoke and set the cigarette down on the ashtray. White smoke rises, red fire flickers, and the paper becomes black ash. Yep, he burned them. Masaki's still staying here. I want to get rid of this stuff so that he doesn't accidentally happen upon it. Yeah, that might be a good idea, actually. Whoa, hot! The air in the room shifts and the ball of flame on top of the ashtray rolls toward me. What the hell are you doing? The source of the disturbance, Toji, stands in the entrance, looking at me disgustedly. Don't open the door so suddenly. The whole place almost burned down. I stamp the fireball out when it rolls to the floor. Playing with fire in your own office? Just doing a little destruction of evidence. I should check to make sure no important documents got hit by the fire first. Looks like everything's intact. That doesn't sound very pleasant. I'm definitely the sort of guy who's gonna get his tongue pulled out by Enma-sama. I prefer to just forget things I don't want to tell people. Also known as Yama, Enma-sama is a wrathful god who judges the dead in Buddhism. He pulls out the tongues of liars. Okay. Oh? Maybe I shouldn't tell you about this either then. Toji takes out a notebook. What's this about? The thing you've been pursuing all this time. You don't mean... I do. Toji opens the notebook. It'll have been over a year ago now, but I've got testimony that someone saw what happened to be Mamiya Shinji in the mountains of Tama. Tama? Okutama? It used to be the village of Oguchi, right around where they recently built a dam. A postman in charge of the area saw him. An abnormally thin young man in the mountains, so he said. Alone? It was at the end of 1956. Over 6 months after he fled. He may have had a hideout up there. Could be. That's a big area though. You got a map? Of Okutama? Give me a second. I take out a map of Tokyo from the bookcase and lay it out on my desk. Oguchi village is around here. This is a map from before the dam was built, I guess. He was seen to the north of the dam, near Mount Takanoso. It's probably about 4 kilometers east to west, 5 north to south, and in the mountains, there aren't going to be roads. There are accommodations near Okutama Lake, fortunately. We can probably ask some questions there too, but no one's seen Toko is what you want to say, right? This is still the first lead I've had in a long time. I've got to go. I figured you'd say that. I'm ready to leave. Let's get going then. I stand up, map in hand. But let me head home first. We'll need the car, right? The train only goes as far as Hikawa Station on the Ome line. Past that's just lines for transporting material for the dam, and they're not in service anymore. Yes, it is in the mountains, even if it's still Tokyo. I don't know how many days we'll be gone. I should prepare as much as I can, and explain things to Yukari too. I return home, leave Yukari a letter, and stop by Inokashira Park. There's someone I need to talk to before I go on this search. She told me time and time again that I no longer need to report to her, but I need to explain this to her, even if I know it's solely for my own satisfaction and will only cause her pain. She walks toward me on the promenade next to the pond. Hello, Chizuru-san. I believe I told you to stop reporting to me. Chizuru stops in front of me and shakes her head. I also told you to do as you like, so please stop paying us any mind. I still felt the need to tell you. Why? Why do you? Chizuru's fists hit my chest weakly. Why don't you give up, like I gave up so long ago? I would feel too sorry for her if I gave up too. Toko's already dead. Please, release me from this obsession of yours. I can't help gasping. My own obsession. While I've exposed so many other people's obsessions, I was casting my own in a completely positive light. I'm no different from all the others captive of their obsessions. I'm aware of that. All I can do is acknowledge it. But though I've acknowledged it, I still cast it away. As long as I can live with my brother, I don't need anything else. Chizuru looks down and shakes her head. So please, don't give me any more reports about Toko. Please. You may think it's selfish of me, but this is how I truly feel. I understand. All I can do is agree. Oh, I just realized this might not even be the true ending. This might be the obsession ending. So, okay, this is another ending we have to go through to get the true ending. Okay, great. So just get ready, guys. It might not even be the true ending because I know it said for the true ending we have to make a choice we haven't made yet. So, or if we even do make a choice. So this might be the obsession ending. It might be mandatory that we go through this first before we get the actual true ending. Just making you guys aware. I still won't give up on looking for her. I just want you to understand that. Do as you please. Chizuru turns on her heel. I bow my head to her as she leaves. I returned to my car, where I parked it near Kichijoji Station. You good? Yeah. I opened the driver's seat door. Come to think of it, Toji. Yeah? I don't think there's any need for you to help me with this. Well, I'm already here. Just let me. I'm grateful for that, but what, did you fall for me? Are you stupid? She's really disgusted with me now. Yeah, I wonder why. You've got to be stupid to head out on a job that doesn't pay like this. Well, I'm not stupid. I'm billing you an information fee, at minimum. I figured you would. Alright, let's get out of here. Although I kind of hope this is actually the true ending, and not the obsession ending. It would be kind of annoying because it's like, at least it should be optional. It shouldn't be something you have to see before you get the true ending. We take the Ome Highway past Ome and up into the mountains where the Oguchi Dam was completed just last year. We park the car at the lodgings next to Okutama Lake and begin our search. Quite a few cottages and villages out here. It's apparently unclear as to who owns some of them. I guess we'll have to hit them all one by one, I'm guessing. There's no handy map with all of them listed. Nope, I imagine they're all along the mountain path, but there's still a lot of snow up here. Don't slip and fall on it. Don't worry about me. We walk along the snowy mountain trails. Are there actually buildings out here? Our surroundings are nothing but thick woods that obscure visibility. It's kind of hard to imagine there being houses out here. Maybe we should split up and look. It'll be dangerous though. Toji suggests when we hit a creek that divides the path neatly into upstream and downstream. I guess so. Okay, guys, this is the true ending. We did get the choice. Now remember what we have to choose here. Go together. We don't know what we'll find. We should avoid splitting up. Yeah, wouldn't want to run into any bears that aren't in hibernation. I doubt sticking together would help us much in that case. It'll run away if we scare it off with a gunshot, right? Sorry, but I don't have a gun. I returned that thing a long time ago. Maybe it'd run away if you started whacking it with that tonfa. I gestured to the weapon she's hiding in her coat. Want to hold on to it? She's not going to do it herself? Maybe tomorrow we should get some bells to ward them off. It might be hibernating season still, but we should probably be careful. Either way, it'll be hard to keep looking at night with visibility like this. It could be easy if they've got the lights on, but I can't imagine there's electricity out here, so we wouldn't be able to tell from far away anyway, huh? It's the perfect place to hide yourself, I guess, but it's so far from civilization. Maybe that's why it's so perfect. Toji mutters, looking up and down the mountain paths. You'd have to buy food. Maybe we should talk to the locals a bit more. Yeah, we might find some people who saw something. Well, if that's decided, let's head back. After a simple celebration at Moonworld for Kyoko's release from the hospital, Masaki takes Yukari home to the Tokisaka residence. Then you don't know the reason Tokisaka-san left either, Yukari-san. No, all he said was that he wouldn't be home for a while. Yukari shakes her head. Maybe he's got some new job. I don't know. He doesn't tell me much about his work. I see. Whatever it is, it must be important enough for him to skip Kyoko's celebration. Very important, in other words. Oh? Yukari looks toward the house. Sounds like the phone. I'm sorry, could you come wait inside? Yukari bows her head and enters the house. Masaki follows her. Hello, Tokisaka residence. Yukari answers the phone. Masaki sits down on the couch, having nothing else to do. My brother is out at the moment, but Masaki-san happens to be here. Shall I give him the phone? Alright, I understand. Yukari turns around, her hand over the mouthpiece of the receiver. Masaki-san, Kayahara-san's on the phone. I'll take it. He takes the receiver from Yukari. Hello? Masaki-san, is this a good time? Sure, I'm free. Is something the matter? Well, it's about the New Leaf Garden. Nanako-san hasn't come in today. Nanako-san? She's not at the Kuchiki hospital? I checked with them too, but they said she'd taken the last few days off, and that's because she was helping out at the New Leaf Garden, but This has never happened before when she's helped me out, so I'm worried. Did you call Nanako-san herself? There's no phone at her house. I'll head over there. Should I meet you at the New Leaf Garden? Yes, thank you. He sets down the receiver. Is something the matter? Yukari asks him right away. Just something that came up. Maybe Nanako skipped town, knowing that she probably could be investigated for what happened to, what was it, Utsuki Keigo? Masaki says ambiguously, not wanting to worry her. I see. It doesn't look like Yukari's very satisfied with that answer, but she backs off. This is probably the same way she acts towards her brother. Sorry, I've got to head out for a bit. Alright, be careful. The sun's starting to set by the time Masaki takes the Cho line to Kogane where the New Leaf Garden is. Oh, Masaki-san. Fuyumi, who was waiting outside, rushes over to him. Do you have any updates? Fuyumi shakes her head. I asked a few others, but nothing. If something happened to Nanako-san, she has the baby too. I'm worried. The baby? Nanako-san's? She's not Nanako-san's actual child. Nanako-san just took her in and is raising her. I look after her here when she's at the hospital. You've met her before, Masaki-san. Remember the baby I made you hold that started crying right away? Right. You don't think she's just out somewhere, though, and forgot to tell you? That's why I said nothing like this has ever happened before. What should we do? Maybe we should call the police. Let's go check out her house first. Do you know where Nanako-san lives? Yes, near the water purification plant in Musashino City. Wait, let me go get the address, and get the kids taken care of. Fuyumi heads back into the New Leaf Garden. Hopefully nothing has happened. Well, knowing this game, something has happened. He'd like to check with Naori too, but he has no idea where he may be now. Especially with everything currently going on with the Blessed Congregation. The police might have his contact information though. Masaki wonders if he should check with Yaginuma. Fuyumi comes out wearing her coat. Sorry for the wait. Let's go. Right. Masaki and Fuyumi take the taxi to the area where Nanako lives. I believe it's around here. Fuyumi checks the house's nameplate. You've never been there? Nope, we usually met at the daycare. Nanako-san should be living with her father, so I bet his name will be there. Her father? Fuyumi cocks her head. Yes, he was a mining engineer back in the settlement or something. You haven't heard about him? No, I don't remember her ever mentioning him. Well, he didn't have the best reputation. It sounds like he had some dealings with Otsugi of the Blessed Congregation too. Yeah, dealings. He definitely had some dealings with him, alright. I see. Fuyumi's expression clouds over for a moment. The Blessed Congregation is still a delicate subject for her. Oh, is this it? Fuyumi stops in front of a one-story row house. There's a small plate that simply reads Sawashiro. The lights aren't on. There are no lights illuminating the front door outside, nor the inside through the windows. Hopefully she's just away. Fuyumi starts approaching the front door, then stops. She can tell from the streetlights that the snow in front of the entrance has melted into slush. Wait a moment. Noticing something, Masaki grabs Fuyumi's arm. Huh? What is it? Fuyumi was trying to find a way around the slush, but she stops now. There are footprints. Masaki crouches down and observes the slush. They're not very big, probably women's shoes. They look fairly fresh. He touches the slush with his fingers. It's still wet enough that they'd sink right in. They're just steps leading to the front door. I don't think it's been that long since she went inside. Nanako-san! Fuyumi knocks on the front door. What is it? He asks when Fuyumi suddenly stops knocking. It's unlocked. Fuyumi slides the door open a little. Can you tell what's going on inside? Masaki finds himself speaking quietly. It's dark. Nanako-san? Fuyumi shouts into the house, but there's no response. Open it and check the shoes. Alright. There are women's boots in the entrance. There's no sign of any other shoes. Are you here? Fuyumi takes one step inside. Wait, it's trespassing if we go any further. But, Nanako-san! Fuyumi calls again. They hear something fall inside. Uh-oh. Fuyumi and Masaki exchange glances. There's no time to waste. What's wrong, Nanako-san? Fuyumi kicks off her shoes and heads inside. Masaki follows her. The hallway is dusty. He smells something sour. Yeah, that's not good. There's a door straight ahead that probably leads to a living room. Oh boy, she OD'd on pills? Oh god. That's not good. Nanako-san! Fuyumi runs over to Nanako, who's collapsed on the floor. Wake up! What's the matter, Nanako-san? Look at what's right next to her. What are you talking about? Nanako moans in pain. She's alive. Confirming that, Masaki picks up the bottle of pills lying on the floor. The label says Brahmaveloria. Sleeping pills. Masaki stands and enters the kitchen, filling a cup with water. Get her to drink this and throw up, please. He hands Fuyumi the cup. Alright. A lethal dose of Brahmaveloria is over 20 grams, I think. From the amount left in the bottle, I don't think she's taken that much. It's still dangerous, though. Nanako-san, can you hear me? Fuyumi looks after her in the now bright room. Masaki refills the cup with water a few times while he looks around the house. He doesn't see the baby. There are traces of her, like baby bottles and diapers. But the rooms are damp and musty. It doesn't seem like a good place for childcare by any standard. Nanako throws up the water and pills. Nanako-san! Nanako-san, are you alright? She's not fully conscious due to the sleeping pills. Where's the baby? It'd be faster to look. Masaki opens up the door to the next room. He immediately notices something strange. There's a futon laid out on the floor, and it's covered in a dark red stain. Oh no. What? Fuyumi's speechless when she peeks into the room. The baby doesn't seem to be here, but this stain is definitely blood. It looks to be pretty old and doesn't smell. It's clear that something happened here, and it doesn't seem like they'll get the story out of Nanako anytime soon. I'll go get an ambulance, and the police. If there's no phone here, he'll have to borrow a neighbor's. Please. They can't just leave this alone now that they've seen it. Well, this is weird. I kind of wonder what Nanako's been up to. Did she kill Naori? Is that what that is? Sawashiro Nanako was taken to the Kuchiki hospital and treated immediately. As Masaki suspected, she hadn't taken a lethal dose of Brahmaveloria, so she was able to get through with just a stomach pump. Since she's still weak, however, she's currently resting in her hospital room. So it was definitely a suicide attempt, Yaginuma explains when he gets to the hospital in the morning. Did she say anything? No, we haven't spoken to her yet. I'd like to ask her about that blood stain as well. It wasn't the baby, right? Fuyumi asks timidly. It was too old. For all we know, it could have been there for years, and I can't imagine that amount of blood could come from an infant. I see. Fuyumi breathes a relieved sigh. But with that much blood, the person would have to be dead, right? Most likely. The question is who it belonged to. If this occurred years ago, it'd be pretty far off from our idea. Idea? You've got some lead on the victim? Or is this about some other incident? I'm under no obligation to explain anything to you, or so I'd like to say, but I suppose you are involved. Why don't I tell you instead, senpai? Yaginuma adjusts his glasses after making himself sound important. She, Sawashiro Nanako, is suspected of the murder of Otsugi Keigo. She was spotted at the Blessed Congregation headquarters on the day Otsugi was killed. Nanako-san killed Otsugi? We've also confirmed that she was there for an appointment with Otsugi, and it seems they'd previously met out in the country. Tokisaka must have looked into that. We were planning to question her when we were more sure of our suspicions, but... Yaginuma glares, annoyed, at the hospital room. We didn't imagine she'd attempt suicide. Were there any indications of this beforehand? Yeah, Nanako was a bit of a loose end in the normal ending of the game, so I guess the true ending is going to try to clear some things up with her. No, just that she took off work at the daycare yesterday, but the baby... We investigated every room in her house and didn't find it. That's another thing we'll have to ask her about. Yaginuma-san, I've got an idea about who that bloodstain could have belonged to. And who would that be? Her father, Nanako-san's. They were supposedly living together, so he may have slept in that room. It's true that we're unable to locate Sawashiro Genji. Oh, that's right, she was living with her father. So yeah, it would make sense that you tried to kill him. We're not sure when he disappeared either. If that bloodstain belonged to him then, he'd have to have been missing for more than a year already. Give me a break. I've got too many questions now. Yaginuma gripes. Speaking of questions, where's Senpai? Tokisaka-san? I don't know either. He hasn't been home lately, I hear. Criminy. How useless at a crucial time like this. Yaginuma clucks his tongue. Have him call me if you get a hold of him. Sure, I don't mind, but I don't know if I'll see him anytime soon. Well, there's only one reason he'd disappear like this, Yaginuma mutters, though he doesn't show any indication of elaborating. The door to the hospital room opens and a nurse emerges. Sawashiro-san has regained consciousness. Can we speak with her? Yes. The nurse opens the door wide. Nanako lies on the bed next to the window. How are you feeling? Nanako averts her eyes from Yaginuma, staring out the window instead. For a nurse like you to attempt suicide with sleeping pills, you must have been aware of the lethal dosage, and that you didn't take nearly enough. Yes, I'm aware. I tried to take more, but it was too painful. I couldn't do it. Did you get this quantity of Brahma Valuria from this hospital? No. From the infirmary of the Blessed Congregation. They order directly from Hinagami Pharmaceuticals after all. Nanako replies honestly. It seems to Misaki like she's not fully cognizant after just coming to. Almost as if she's under a truth serum. In that room in your house, what happened to produce that blood-covered futon? Nanako falls silent. Where is your father, Sawashiro Genji-san? After a long period of hesitation, Nanako sighs. I killed him there. When was that? Yaginuma presses her. A little more than a year ago. Just before winter, I drugged his alcohol and put him to sleep, and then stabbed him with a kitchen knife. Why did you kill him? Because I've always wanted to, since long ago, in Hirogata. That long ago? Nanako directs a hollow gaze at Misaki in response to his voice. I'm sure you had no idea, Ayato-kun, about what he did to me. Well, don't worry. We as the audience know, even if we didn't want to. Nanako hides her face. I won't make you explain further here. Well, at least Yaginuma's not that much of an asshole. Yaginuma says when it seems like she's about to continue. But if that's the case, why kill him now? Because I wanted a child, Nanako mutters. My body was ruined a long time ago. I had given up on ever having a child, but when I heard I could take one in, I killed him, since he was in my way. Because if I brought a child home to him, I knew he would abuse her. And that child was her? Nanako gives a little nod in answer to Fuyumi's question. So that's why she's always taking the child to the daycare? It's a bit difficult to follow that logic, but I suppose I can accept protecting a child as your reason. However, Yaginuma takes out a photograph and holds it out to Nanako. You're familiar with Otsugi Keigo, yes? Yes. Nanako nods, then looks down. May I ask what you were doing in the middle of the night on January 12th? I'd like to know if it matches up with the information we already have. It's an unpleasant way to ask the question. It's exactly as you think. I went to the Blessed Congregation headquarters on the 12th and met with Otsugi. No. Was it because I asked you to take that letter to Yukiko? It was. Otsugi discovered me then. I'm so sorry. It was all my fault. It wasn't your fault. Nanako shakes her head. How did you kill him? You figured that out already too, haven't you? We know he's suffocated. We also know he took a large amount of colchine, but you'd have to be very weak to choke on your own vomit like that. After I had him take the drugs, I held a towel over his mouth. After a while, I confirmed his death and left. You didn't use any arsenic? No, I didn't have any of that. But you covered his mouth. That would be clear intent to murder. If not for that, you could have gotten involuntary manslaughter. I don't mind. I killed him with clear intent to murder. Very well. Yaginuma nods. Regardless of the circumstances, murder is murder. I'm not one to ignore a crime, unfortunately. Masaki thinks he saw Yaginuma glance back at them for a moment. Ayato, who killed Saya, and Aiko, who killed Satsuki, remain silent. Now then, all that's left is the missing baby. Where is this child that you wanted so desperately you killed your father for? I was planning to die, but I couldn't get her involved, so I entrusted her to someone. Kuriya Naori. Yaginuma suggests the name immediately. Yes, that's right. I've got some questions I'd like to ask him too, but we can't seem to track him down. I'm wondering who the baby daddy is actually. Is it Naori? I'm guessing it's Naori. He wasn't there when you investigated the Blessed Congregation headquarters? Completely gone. Sawashiro-san, when did you entrust the child to him? Yesterday, at the north exit of Mitaka Station. Where did he go then? Nanako shakes her head in response. Nanako-san. He's a crucial witness to everything that occurred in the Blessed Congregation, and he could have been involved in Hinagami Pharmaceuticals' illegal clinical trials as well. Just could have? He must be a very careful person. All the proof we really have is the name tag of his you discovered at the side of the White Lily Garden, and the fact that he was spotted when Kayahara Yukiko was being taken from her school. When Yukiko? We could put him on the police wanted list for the abduction of Kayahara Yukiko if you'd like. But that's all over, isn't it? She's still a student, so even if she went with him willingly, we could still get him on Article 224 of the Penal Code. Even if she's been arrested for a different crime, his crime doesn't disappear. Are you sure you can find him if you put out a warrant? If we send out a bulletin to nearby police stations, it'll mean a more likely chance of arrest. We'll have to start a real search for him, of course. If Naori's got a plan, it's unlikely that he'll be arrested so easily. So Masaki thinks, but he can't tell that to Yaginuma. So now we have two things happening at once. Like, they're looking for Naori, and the whole thing with Nanako. I mean, so that's still going to continue. I thought we were going to go back to Reiji's perspective. 3 days after Kuriya Naori was put on the wanted list, they still have no clue as to his whereabouts. They requested assistance from the Toyama Prefectural Police, who dispatched investigators to the Kuriya residence in the Hitogata settlement, but they found no evidence that he'd returned there. As soon as she'd recovered enough, Sawashiro Nanako was taken to the Metropolitan Police Department for the murders of her father, Sawashiro Genji, and Otsugi Keigo of the Blessed Congregation. So then, where'd our deceased friend end up, Yaginuma-han? Natsume-san asks Yaginuma in the First Investigation Division. We don't have a confession yet. Oh, how unusual. Don't they call you Onehachi? That's Hachibe the Oni. He's someone else. Harisuka Hachibe, a famous police officer active during Yaginuma's time in the force. Natsume-san confuses the two because of their names. Hachibe and Yaginuma both begin with the same character. Okay. Don't know about that person. Ah, right. Well, he's solved all sorts of cases. I've led plenty of incidents to their conclusions as well, you know. We don't really need to have this conversation, do we? Masaki interjects, trying to steer the conversation back on track. You haven't heard anything about where Naori is from her either, right? Why don't you go ask her then? Is that alright? Of course not, you dunce! Yaginuma picks up a key and stands. But I'll let you visit her. I'll have to stand in, of course. Maybe I'll impose on the two of you as well then. Well, so you'll have no privacy. Nanako is brought to the dreary interrogation room. Nanako-san. Her complexion isn't very good. She's probably still weary from her suicide attempt. Where is Naori? I don't know. He was always in the Blessed Congregation infirmary. If he's not there, then I have no idea where he is. Kuriya Naori's certificate of residence lists the Blessed Congregation headquarters as his address. For a commissioned doctor, he seems to have been quite involved in their affairs. I tried to be as uninvolved with the Blessed Congregation as I could, so I don't know much about that. Once when I met Naori, he called the Blessed Congregation Infirmary the workroom he was renting. I can't imagine he was sleeping there. He had some other residence, didn't he? He stayed at my house sometimes. The house with the bloody futon in it. If that's true, then I've got even more questions for him. Nanako squeezes her lips shut. Did Naori know? That you killed your father, I mean? Yes, there's no way he could not have noticed. You understand that too, don't you, Ayato-kun? You're right. He was always a sharp one. Everyone our age in that settlement was always following him around. I don't need to hear your childhood reminiscences. Yaginuma cuts off Masaki's words. How did Kuruya Naori come to know of Sawashiro Genji's death? Well, Nanako hesitates. Natsume-san, who'd been silent until now, comes forward. The futon in that room showed some signs that the body had been on it for a little while. I imagine the smell must have been something else. Carrying out a grown man's corpse like that would be mighty hard for frail ladies like me and yourself, don't you think? Did Naori help dispose of him? Well, I couldn't tell you that much. I'd have a hard time imagining she simply carried him out like that, though. Right. Masaki's experienced carrying corpses several times during the war, so he has to agree. Well, if he was involved, that'd make him an accomplice. So? I can't answer that. Nanako shakes her head. I mean, that's more or less confirmation. If she can't answer, it means Naori was almost certainly involved. But she does have a right to remain silent. To prosecute him, she'd have to confess his involvement, or they'd have to find clear evidence of it. They probably wouldn't be able to find proof now, though. They'd need to get testimony from her then, but first, he has to confirm something. Nanako-san, please tell us where he lives. The baby's there, right? He has more than enough knowledge to raise a child. He looked after her for me when I was away as well. She's planning on keeping his location a secret, Masaki suspects. May I ask one thing? Natsume-san looks into Nanako's eyes. What is it? That baby ain't biologically yours, yes, Sawashiro-han? Is it Kuruya-han's then? No, she isn't. Nanako shakes her head. Naori-san found her, but they aren't related by blood. Oh. Who's her mother then? If he took her in, he knows, don't he? Nanako holds her tongue. According to your family registers, neither you nor Kuruya Naori have spouses or legitimate children. As for illegitimate, there ain't a birth certificate, is there? Doubtful. And I have another question. What happened to the mother? Of course, we know that you might not have that information, which is why we'd like to talk to Kuruya Naori-san. Yaginuma presses her. Nanako-san, Masaki says quietly. The mother of that baby had nothing to do with these incidents. I don't want to leave her existence in the dark, not someone unrelated like that. For her sake, and for the sake of the baby as well, won't you tell us the truth? Ayato-kun. The baby is important to you too, isn't she? If she is, then... Masaki can't finish the sentence. I really don't know anything about her mother. Naori-san only said she was in his care. Nanako starts slowly. She was in too weak a state to give birth, but the fact that she survived long enough to do so successfully was no doubt due to Naori-san's care. Wait a second, was that the woman at the beginning of the game in the opening? That might have been her. She died then, just after the baby was born. Nanako hangs her head. I assume there was no official notice of her death either. Was Kuruya Naori aware of the woman's identity? I don't know. Her voice is barely audible. We'll have to look for any missing pregnant women, I suppose. When was the birth? The winter of the year before last. It was a cesarean section. Then if it's still a baby, it was premature. Yes, she still hasn't grown much. Nanako looks worried. If you're making a face like that, don't you think she should be raised properly? He may be a doctor, but he's a wanted fugitive too. I trust him though. Do you think this will really be for the best for her though, Nanako-san? She won't be able to get an education like this. Masaki thinks back to Satsuki. Neither Satsuki nor Ayako had a family register. They were the same age as Masaki and his friends, yet they lived their whole lives in that storehouse. He doesn't want anyone else to have to live like they did. It's not easy to get a hold of a fake family register and live anew like Fuyumi. Then what should I do? Nanako hangs her head again. Please, just tell us where Naori is. I want the child to be raised in a proper family. In the mountains of Kofu, there's a villa that used to be used as a retreat for Hinagami Pharmaceuticals employees. He lived there, Nanako finally says. A Hinagami Pharmaceuticals retreat, eh? Can't say I was expecting that. Please give us a more specific location later. I doubt he's there anymore, though. Nanako gives a little smile. It's a smile as if she's given up on everything. You know that, don't you, Ayato-kun? A careful, well-prepared man like him would never stay in the same place for long. You're right, but we still need to look there. There could be something left still. We'll head out there once we get a proper address. It's probably going to be like the same place that Reiji's looking. We've been searching the mountains for 3 days. We questioned the people who lived here as well, but didn't hear of any new sightings of Mamiya Shinji. I'm aware that there's a very slim chance that he's still hiding here. All of the buildings we've found so far have either been abandoned or had completely unrelated people living in them. We investigated them all thoroughly, of course, but found no leads. We should probably head back soon, Toji says, checking her watch. Yeah, we should probably be back before dark. You have to stop moving when it gets dark in mountains like these, where there aren't any landmarks. I take out a topographic map of the area and unroll it. I've put marks on areas and buildings we've already investigated. We've looked through much of the area north of Oguchi Dam. I trace a general line over the path we just took to get here. There was a different path to get down, a little further back. Let's head down that one. Sure. Toji heads down first, in the opposite position we climbed up in. Hey, Tokisaka. Yeah? If we look through this whole area and don't find anything, what are you gonna do? I'll cross that bridge when I come to it. I shrug while I walk. I might wait until I get more information, or I might keep looking from here. You're not gonna give up? I gave up long ago, when she first went missing. I'd heard she wouldn't live long without a doctor looking after her anyway. Wonder what kind of doctor that could have been. Wonder who that could be. Kuchiki Toko, right? Yeah, I gave up, but I began thinking I needed to find her instead. Not for anyone else's sake, of course. For yourself? Probably, just for my own peace of mind, I guess. Do you have any proof Mamiya Shinji kept her with him the whole time? If she got in the way of his escape? He saw his mother in Toko. That's why. As long as he had that obsession, I doubt he'd let go of her. Kara no Shoujo, huh? That's the one. So you trust him? In that sense, I suppose. What do you think about the Sheep of Purgatorio? Somebody else wrote it, but are you sure the person who did was hiding Mamiya Shinji? I'm pretty sure. It'd have to be someone prideful, who could steal his ideas from him, and who wouldn't call the cops even after seeing Toko. Not a good fellow then. The guy must not have had much ambition if he sent the manuscript in with Katsuragi Shin's pen name on it though, huh? If he were ambitious, he'd tie up Mamiya Shinji and bring him to the police. Catching a famous criminal would get him far more recognition. The question is whether a guy like that lives somewhere out here. Toji heads down the alternate path. You'd have to be a not-so-good guy to shelter him, huh? We can see the dam reservoir below. You see those cars? Toji holds her hands over her eyes, looking out at the path below. They look like cop cars. There are some black cars down on the Ome Highway next to the dam reservoir. They're not lit up, but there are red lights on top of them. Did something happen? Let's get down there. We dash down the snowy mountain path toward the cars. Oh? Yeah, what a coincidence. I stop when I find Yaginuma next to one of the cars. Yaginuma, what are you doing here? That's what I'd like to know, senpai. Why, no, I'm beginning to get the picture. Yaginuma looks to Toji. Seems like you found something as well. I can't imagine we're looking for the same thing, though. The air is a bit hostile here. Tokisaka-san. Masaki's oblivious voice cuts through the tension, though. You're here too? Yes, but why are you here, Tokisaka-san? What are you looking for out here? It's easier to ask this guy than Yaginuma. There should be a villa out here that Hinagami Pharmaceuticals used as a retreat. Naori has used it too. Korea Naori? Wait a second, let's get our information straight. That sounds good, but asking Yaginuma-san would probably be… Screw him. He'll make me give up everything I've got and won't give me anything important in return. Well, he's probably right. You know I can hear you, senpai. Yaginuma and Toji walk over to us. If you were listening, then hurry up and spill the beans. I know, I'll say all I'm able to. Meaning, he's not about to spill everything. We exchange information. Seriously? What is this indescribable feeling of frustration? It looks like we could be searching for the same place, though we don't know who the woman was. Not yet, no. However, I've remembered something now that you're here, senpai. You don't need to say it. I suppose not. After all, during our questioning of the director of the Kuchiki Hospital, then the Kuchiki Pathological Research Institute in the Karno Shoujo incident, I was told to keep very quiet about this. Shut up, Yaginuma. Oh, my lips are sealed. About the reason Kuchiki Yasutada went so far as to sever her limbs to prolong her life, that is. I said shut the hell up! I send Yaginuma flying with a punch. Oh, can't say I didn't deserve it. That's obstruction of justice, senpai. Yaginuma curses, holding his glasses. Leave it at that, okay? Toji grabs my arm. I know. I shake her off. It's not impossible. It's true that we did what could have led to it. But I had no idea she was pregnant. Yep, so it pretty much confirmed that the woman at the beginning of the game was Toko. We're here to arrest Kuria Naori. We're not looking for what you two are. Yaginuma walks off. What do we do? We've got no choice but to go, right? We follow Yaginuma until we reach a clearing with a villa made of wood. Hinagami Pharmaceuticals purchased it, but they didn't use it much since it was so difficult to get to. So apparently Naori borrowed it from them when he was working for them. Seems like the perfect hideout. It's far enough away from the highway, and it's surrounded by forest. He's always liked things like that. Doesn't look like anyone's living here. Snow has piled up all around the building. It doesn't look like anyone shoveled it. It's unlikely that Kuria Naori has been back this way then. Yaginuma judges from the snow piled up in front of the entrance. So go back then. I'm gonna look inside. You'll be trespassing if I don't go with you. I need some clues, so I'll be going inside too. Can you check the outside then, Toji, Misaki? Got it. Let's go, Misaki. If there's anything out here though, it's probably gonna be under the snow. Then dig it up. I'll do what I can. Toji and Misaki walk through the snow. I follow Yaginuma's footprints to the entrance. Well, we probably should have expected this, but it's locked. You there! Bring a crowbar from the trunk of the car. Yaginuma gives an order to an accompanying policeman. You're gonna wrench it open? Well, we can't get in otherwise. You sure about this? You're the one who wants to get in so badly, so you'll be the one breaking it, senpai. So if we get in trouble for this, it's gonna be on me. Just hope that we find something useful inside. You're here because you believe we will, right, senpai? We're not even looking for the same things, though. The officer who'd returned to the car comes back with a large crowbar. Alright, I'm gonna open it. I insert the flat end of the crowbar into the gap of the door and put my body weight into the crowbar. The door creaks and splinters of wood rain down onto the snow. Add property damage to that breaking and entering. Quit joking around and open it. It's cold out here. Yeah, there. The part with the lock on it breaks. I open the door and peer inside. It's pretty dusty. There's a thin layer of dust on the floor that makes it evident that no one's been here in a while. The glass doors of the cabinets are all dull white, preventing us from seeing what's inside them. Please check further inside, senpai. Yaginuma enters and heads toward the desk next to the wall. I head further inside, leaving footprints in the dust. I'm overcome with a strange feeling the moment I step into the room. Oh boy. Definitely looks like there were some operations in here. The windows are boarded up. The cupboards are lined with bottles of medicine. There's a bed in the center of the room. An infirmary. No. From the rusted forceps and scalpels still here, it may have been an operating room. I can't imagine things were very clean here, though. Doesn't look very clean. There probably wasn't too much treatment going on here. There's a stack of journals on a desk to the side. I pick one up and open it. I can't help gasping. Yep, there it is. That's definitely her, I think. There's a photograph stuck inside. A photograph of a girl lying on the bed in this room. A girl with no limbs. Her stomach is hugely swollen. IV tubes extend from her neck. September 15th. Estimate, 25 weeks. As we enter the third trimester, the baby's chance of survival rises, but the mother's health seems to be declining. That's written underneath the photo. Oh God. She was still alive? Well, Jesus Christ, that's fucked up. She's alive. I grabbed the other documents. November 6th. Estimate, 33 weeks. Performed emergency extraction of the baby after the mother went into cardiac arrest. Female, 2.8 pounds. Observing condition in incubator. There's nothing else written about the mother. The handwriting looks a lot to me like the writing on the manuscript of the Sheep of Purgatorio. Then it was really Kuya Naori. We've got him, senpai. Yaginuma enters the room and grimaces. What on earth is this room? A delivery room, I suppose. That's all I can say. So what did you get? The plan for the novel. It's crumpled up writing paper and a little unclear right now. But I imagine it's got Mamiya Shinji's handwriting on it. Even if it was his, it's not evidence that he was here, right? The documents in here are medical charts? I see. Yaginuma looks over the papers I was just reading. It's reasonable to assume he was here if she was too, isn't it? Then where did he go? There was something interesting back there. Yaginuma lays a rusted hatchet on top of the bed. There's blood on the blade, though it's covered with dust right now. There was also quite a bit of hair sticking to it, along with some scalp, I imagine. You think his head got split open? Seems so. I imagine he dumped the body somewhere then. If Kuya Naori himself were here, we'd be able to simply ask him, but we haven't seen hide nor hair of him. Hopefully, he's not at the bottom of the reservoir. I doubt that. It was probably right around the time construction was finishing. There would be too many workers around. He wouldn't want them to find the body. Then he could be buried somewhere nearby, along with the body of the mother after her cardiac arrest, I imagine. If we find a body, we can nail him for suppression of evidence. It should be easy enough to track him down if he's on the run with a baby. Just like how they could find a guy on the run with Toko, missing all her limbs. Ooh, roasted. I managed to keep that thought to myself. But I could see how it would be difficult to locate him if someone was sheltering him here like this. The door opens and Toji walks in. Yaginuma, it looks like there are graves outside. Graves, huh? They're just little mounds though. 3 of them. Let's dig them up. You alright with that? Yeah. Well, we might find her this way. Behind the villa where the trees are thick and there isn't much snow are 3 stones lined up acting as grave markers. Masaki and a police officer are waiting next to them with shovels. Do it. Got it. Masaki starts tearing into the first mound. Since there are 3 of them, does that mean we'll find 3 bodies? Sawashiro Nanako's murdered father is probably buried here too. It would have been at around the same time. Oh! Masaki stops digging. What's wrong? I've found bones. Finish it. A police officer begins carefully scooping out the frozen dirt at Yaginuma's order. Yep, those are definitely bones. The skeleton that emerges is missing its right foot. Sawashiro Genji lost a foot in an accident, right? I imagine that's him. Senpai? Yaginuma faces me. Maybe he's suspicious of my prolonged silence. Keep going. I force the words out. The pounding of my heart won't subside. Here is where she rests. Masaki stops again as he's digging up the next grave. There's more. A white skull peeks out from the dirt. There's a long crack in it from the occipital to the parietal. Looks like he came at him from behind. A hatchet to the back of the head. It has all its limbs, and from the physique, I'd say it's Mamiya Shinji. We just don't know why he was killed. He probably has no use for him after he got the idea of the Sheep of Purgatorio out of him. There's no need for two Kachiragi Shins out there. What do you think, Senpai? Senpai? Yaginuma looks to me. I don't think anything. I don't care why Mamiya Shinji was killed. Masaki, let me. Alright. I take the shovel from Masaki and stand before the final grave. Toko, I'm going to free you now. I push the tip of the shovel into the earth. Slowly, so that I don't disturb her slumber. Carefully, so that I don't injure her. I see a filthy cloth. Perhaps it was once a sheet. It's blackened with the earth and water is absorbed. Toko. I sink to my knees and scoop out the dirt with my hands. I pay no mind to the cold nor the pain. I gradually see more of the cloth and... Yep, that is her. We found her, I see. How's her body been preserved like that, though? How is it not decayed? Toko, I've finally found you. Toko lies within the earth. I'm sorry it took me so long. Her expression looks as though she's simply asleep. She lost all her limbs and even gave birth to a child. I must look for that child next. I'll find her, got it? For your sake, too. I reach out and touch her cheek. Okay, no, she's... Okay, she was just seeing that. I was about to say, like, how in the hell? How is she still there? Hollow cavities stare through me. This is reality. A small skeleton without limbs. There's nothing to guarantee her identity, but it's unmistakably her, Kuchiki Toko. I can tell, because of this thing filling up the emptiness inside of me. Oh, what a happy ending. Emotion stronger than any I've ever felt before. There's no joy in finally finding Toko. I didn't think there would be. All I feel is sorrow, such guilt that I left her waiting in a place like this for so long. Toko, I'm sorry. Toko. She doesn't respond, but I continue apologizing. Though no matter how many words I say and how much I repent, my sin will never be forgiven. Well, guys, I think that was the true ending, or unless there's more. Nope. Let's go home, Toko. It's cold here. Yep, that was the true ending. Well, I know it took a while for me to get there, but I hope you guys enjoyed the playthrough nonetheless. I will definitely be playing the third game once it's translated into English, whenever that's going to be. But yeah, let me know what you guys thought of the playthrough, and until next time, I'll see you all later.
守られ